Web2 business model, like let's take a creator platform like YouTube, for example. So on YouTube, as a creator, I think you get 45% of the ad revenue that you make, which is, people say it's a scandal, but I mean, the platform is also what makes them successful. So I think 50-50 is not necessarily a bad thing. I think the bad thing is because it's a percentage, and therefore if one makes more, the other makes less.
There you go.
So their interests are never going to be aligned, right? And there's a moment where YouTube, the user growth of YouTube goes down. So how do you make more money? Well, you increase your revenue per user. And this is when, that famous article from A16Z where companies move from attraction to extraction, right? It's a mode. Initially, you want customers. So you're like the revenue share is very much in favor of the customers. Let's bring them in. Then eventually the growth kind of slows down. Okay, how do we make money? Well, let's take a little bit more. Instead of 5%, let's take 10, and then 15, and then 20. And because they control the business model, they could literally go up to 90%. Like there's no the creators can't stop them doing that.
Yeah, massive monopoly. Like in the sense they control the market.
Exactly. And so the incentives are never aligned because they're both fighting for their percentage to be bigger. But imagine now the Web3 concept where you have the concept of ownership. So the platform, the sandbox, has a token, which is sand, which is their currency. And then the landowner, people that invest in the land, also would basically own NFTs, right? And so their interests are now aligned because both of this platform and the landowner want the price of the assets that they own to go up. And so for this, they just need more users in the platform. More users in the platforms mean more activity, mean more buyers, and the price of sand, would go up. And the same with the landowners. By getting their land utilized, by having the ability to monetize the audience, their value also would go up. So by offering tokens, right, basically the platform that owns the token, issues the tokens, and the investors in that token, their interests are aligned because they own the same asset. They both want it to go up.
Right.
So it's a really interesting way to align incentives between the different participants instead of having this game where one of them is always going to get more than the other.
But that's also one of the reasons, now that I'm thinking about it, is like, okay, everybody's incentives are aligned. It means that there is very little, you don't have to think about the trade-offs, which means that's probably an enabler of the high volatility that we're seeing right now, because it's like, we're just all going to focus on this. All of our incentives are aligned. Nobody's losing on the back of it. But then someone is losing.
Well, everyone can be losing at the same time. So if the market goes down, everyone goes down. And this is why, obviously, right now, what we've seen with the crypto prices going down, all the token holders have less money than they used to have, right? So it's not like it can only go up, but at least everyone's in the same boat. So I think these are two different things that we should really separate. There is definitely volatility. There is a lot of risk in doing so because it's an investment. But at least what the big difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is that in Web 3, users are becoming owners in the platform. If you create content on YouTube, you don't, unless you own shares of YouTube, which is, basically not something that everyone can do, right? It's complicated. You need more money to do that. You need to be an accredited investor potentially. You don't own anything. You don't own the platform. You don't control anything in the platform.
Right. I mean, it makes total sense. I'm just thinking how funny it is that it's like we didn't like the business model of just the creators and the underdog being ripped off when shit goes wrong, and so we're like, we all go down. That's the alternative. It's like if it goes down, it all goes down, and that maybe suggests that in the metaverse or like a few years ahead, there is a crash, it's a crash for everybody really, because it affects all of these sort of actors in the ecosystem. It's a bit of a long shot. I don't know there is probably a lot of other factors that come into play in this, but it does suggest that right now is like whenever there is a crisis of some sort, there is always someone better off and someone worse off, etc. In the future, maybe there is a world in which we all really crash.
Like the economy going down, right? That's exactly what Web3 is about. It's really creating a new economy in the digital world, which we called the ownership economy. So on the internet right now, we are very much in an attention economy. Attention of the users is basically the currency of the internet, because this is what gets monetized, right? In a website like Facebook or YouTube or all of the ad-driven business models, basically the attention of users is what gets sold to advertisers. So the attention is the currency of a lot of those properties on the internet. On the metaverse, it's a little bit different because, again, users, yes, they have to commit with their attention to be part of those environments, but they also get rewarded. They can invest in the token, they can invest in land, they can invest in various assets. So the real currency is about what they own. It's about the ownership in those assets. And the users that are building the world by creating this content becomes owners in the world as well, and therefore financially benefit from the growth of these platforms. And if the platform goes down, they also go down. It's part of the risk of being an investor. But at least, again, the incentives are aligned, and the main currency of that new economy is ownership as opposed to being attention.